Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Chuckling just because I just seen this user's name. And let's crack on with today's first story. Now, today's first story comes from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. It's titled, Am I the Arsehole Here for ignoring my husband after he came home wearing a shirt his work wife bought him? And get this name. It's from Satan's Buttplug 34. The story starts. I, female 30s, have been with my husband, male 30s, for 5 years. Recently in the last year, he has started a new job position, where his role is shared with his co-worker, Chelsea, female 20s. I've noticed that his co-worker, Chelsea, has increasingly pushed my limits of comfortability, and I frankly just don't trust her. I've known Chelsea and her family for years prior to my marriage, and I wasn't keen on her then either. She does and says strange things that I don't believe are malicious, but it's almost like she wants to be a second wife to him. I don't feel insecure about her, but I feel creeped out. She shared with me that she sees my husband as like her brother, which irks me because she has an awesome brother, and I'm friends with her brother. She often calls, texts, and FaceTimes about her work-related and unrelated topics, and I've heard someone refer to her as his work wife. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law passed last month, and it's been utter hell. In the midst of grief, Chelsea texted asking how my husband was doing, and how she cries every day thinking about him, and had told me that she knows exactly what I'm going through. No, she doesn't, and that she can't wait to give my husband a huge hug. Fast forward a little bit and she was drunk at a party and saw my husband leaving, where she confronted him on why he was leaving. He told her, I didn't think I had to tell you what I'm doing, resulting in her panic texting him after to make sure we're okay, and trying to get him to talk to her by saying, you can open up and talk to me or vent or just tell me to shut the fuck up. Strange to me. There's been more instances, but I know I have a limit. Anyway, his birthday was last week and she called him asking him his shirt size, and she made it a point to let him know she'll never forget his birthday. Like, why are you so creepy sometimes, girlfriend? Yesterday, I'm cleaning the kitchen when he walks in and I notice it's an unfamiliar shirt. I asked if it was new and he said Chelsea got it for me, and my blood boiled. Instant rage and I went quiet. He asked if I cared and I remained silent and walked away. I'm usually a huge communicator, but his mum just passed and he asked for no drama, and I'm trying my hardest to respect that. But I know I have zero patience and want to tell him it's effing weird how involved a co-worker is trying to become his life, and she needs to back down and focus on her own engagement. Everyone I talk to says I'm not in the wrong and she's being creepy, but I feel bad for ignoring my husband and walking away from him. I saw he looked upset and confused, but I know he's already overwhelmed with grief and don't want to make things worse. So, am I the arsehole? I never understand this whole work wife or work husband thing. It sort of gives me the ick a bit. I'm just thinking about, a partner coming home to you and saying about their work wife or their work partner, whatever. And I think you're valid in your feelings here. She's overstepping huge boundaries and it just needs to be called out now. Otherwise, resentment's going to build and who knows what happened as well. I think all you can be is up front here and tell him this is what you're seeing and there needs to be boundaries in place to stop this. But the first commenter says talk to your husband immediately and say this isn't drama. This is threatening our relationship. You need to set boundaries with his co-worker and you need to do it now. No more calling her your work wife. No more of this weird clingy friendship. You become co-workers and you draw lines. This is too much and that shirt is the last straw. Stop it now. You might not see it, but she's either inappropriate by nature or she's trying to start an affair. Playful Lily says, no, you're not the arsehole. Chelsea's behavior is crossing boundaries and it's understandable that you are upset. However, ignoring your husband might not be the best approach in the long run. Try to communicate your concerns calmly when you both have the emotional bandwidth to address it. Winter Object says, not the arsehole. I don't know your communication, but I would just sit him down and ask bluntly if he's interested in having an affair with Chelsea, because she's trying hard to get with him. If he's trying to downplay the situation, ask him if he would be okay with you flirting and texting with one of your male acquaintances. In the long run, he has to cut this woman out of his life. She seems to doesn't know how to have a platonic friendship with him. Patently says, you're not crazy and definitely not the arsehole. As a guy, I have zero need for attention from other females. I have good working relationship with females I work with and we are friendly. I never call them for personal discussions or text them for anything other than business. Rarely, I've made casual comments if I know something is going on to be supportive. This is how emotional affairs happen, which leads to full-blown affairs. Set the boundaries now. You should be his priority. Best of luck. Next commenter says, and quotes the part where it says, this is how emotional affairs happen, which leads to full-blown affairs, and says, lots of affairs start when one of the two is emotionally vulnerable, like just lost a parent. The other party exploits their temporary weakness to get them to do something they wouldn't normally do, all the while looking like the good friend who only cares about them and wants to give them hugs in their time of need. Like what the actual fuck? Who gives their married co-worker hugs when they are grieving over a dead parent? It sounds like this girl is just someone with exceptionally poor boundaries in general, and a fixation of the OP's husband in particular. People with poor boundaries are the only ones who cheat, by the way. Yeah, and she was sending the wife messages after saying that she cries for him every day. I mean, who does that? But OP comes in with her update and says, okay, we have news. Just to clarify some things first. For some additional background. 1. I've known Chelsea and her family prior to my marriage through some mutual connections, and her family being very, very close with my ex and his family, hence some hesitancy. I became close friends with her brother and he became part of my group of friends, etc, etc. She did not meet my husband until they both started working for the same company. So I was not very close with Chelsea, but we always saw and interacted cordially. 2. I did not tell Chelsea his shirt size. She called my husband and asked him his shirt size, where he told her. I would have never told her his size and would have made some joke saying that he has enough shirts and to not bother buying him any more. 3. I wish I added this in earlier, but my husband and I have had conversations about my feelings regarding Chelsea and her behaviors. I've tried everything from being sweet, aloof, concerned, and outright angry. Each time I've met with some variation of he understands, but Chelsea is neurotic. He never dismisses my feelings outright, but he attempts to be sensitive to her mental state and says that he has no issue stepping in or if and when necessary. However, I found it necessary, and it's clear he isn't trying to have the confrontation up front until the shirt event. 4. My husband requesting no drama stems from a series of events that occurred within his family and work life that drained his emotional battery, leading him to just ask for smooth sailing and finding his new normal. I do have a history of struggling to manage my anger during arguments, but I've taken the steps and done what is necessary to address my anger to make sure my marriage does not suffer. And we have been amazing. I did want to be mindful that what he endured with family and other aspects of his life has impacted his mood, which led him to openly ask the universe for some peace and no drama, which made me internalize his message. Also, we're scheduled to have our first marriage counseling session this upcoming week, just to really make sure we iron out any issues. I wanted to make sure when I had my update, I had some juice and evidence of change to give you all. As for the talk, it went amazing. I sat down with my husband and just told him that there were some things that I wanted to bring to his attention and included a variation of what was in the comments along with my own words to really drive home the fact that I'm beyond over my limit and wanted him to have it on his radar. My husband was very attentive and validating. We talked for a while, and although there were moments where we both didn't seem to understand one another, we tried to use some fair fighting rules I've gotten from my therapist, and that really seemed to help. He gave me his point of view when we talked about how my walking away made him feel awful, and how I was upset that he knew I would be mad seeing him wearing the shirt. I made sure to accept my role in the situation, and he was able to do the same. Turns out that my husband has already had a chat with Chelsea and put her in her place post my reaction, leading to Chelsea then to have a 3-day temper tantrum and constantly seeking reassurance and validation from my husband in the form of texts and in-person harassment. My husband finally had enough and told her that if she didn't knock it off, that he would pursue this through his chain of command and HR. That seemed to stop her in her tracks, sorta. Then she started to tell him that she was having troubles at home, And my husband responded with, "Sorry to hear that. Good luck with everything." She did not like this. He has since then put up some serious boundaries, and we both came up with some ideas that we're both comfortable with and won't stress out his work environment more. I can't thank this community enough for helping me get my ass in gear. For all comments, the loving and supportive, ugly and blunt, and the indifferent. I thank you for taking the time to share your input. This could have possibly saved my marriage. And I'm super happy to see that things seem to be on the right path. However, I gotta say I still have concerns about Chelsea in this situation. It sounds like she's not someone that's going to let up easily. The fact that she had this 3-day temper tantrum and trying to seek reassurance and validation, and then husband told her to knock it off, but then she still came up with troubles at home. There seemed to be something else going on to try and get him involved with her in some other way. And he told her he's going to pursue HR if she didn't knock it off. I don't know, I kind of feel like, I'm not sure if it make any difference, and it's something that might be a bit sketchy in itself. I kind of feel like maybe letting the chain of command know, and HR as well, just maybe not to do any action, but to give them a warning of what's been going on in case the story gets twisted on you. You know, she goes completely the opposite way. I've seen it one too many times in these stories before, so maybe that's just what's in my head at the moment. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the True Off My Chest subreddit. Does have a couple of updates with it from Won Him Back Throwaway, and says, "Now I have won my husband back. I'm leaving him. I've secured an apartment for my baby and me. I've put everything in order and prepared for custody, shared or otherwise. I've divided the money and transferred my share to a third account, and it will stay there until the divorce proceedings and the dividing of the assets. I found out that my husband was having an affair while I was postpartum. I thought that I would die because I love him, and it felt like my heart was broken into a million pieces. I knew that it was over, but my curiosity got the best of me. I wanted to know why. What was it she had that I didn't? Did he love her? I started reading his texts, and everything was there. He felt like he was alive again. He was happy and excited. She's single and childless, so she had all the time in the world to make him her priority. He felt seen and desired by her. I was confused because even with life coming between us, he was always my love, and I made sure he knew that every day. Still, it wasn't enough. I read thousands upon thousands of messages between them, and I started being everything he fantasized about. In the beginning, it felt weird, and he was confused, but I just went on. Every time he made plans with her, I found a way to make him stay, or I made sure that I sent him exhausted to her. The messages became less and less frequent, and the passion and excitement subsided. Soon answering her became more of a chore. The complaining started, and him pulling away. He was happier at home, and he couldn't wait to come home. He started texting me again during the day. The sweetest text of how he missed me. He was his old self back. One day, what I hoped and waited patiently for happened. He ended things with her. He told her that he loved me and that now everything was great again. Her services weren't needed, in other words. I felt relief, and finally I could move on. Now I'm preparing for my divorce. He will get the papers the day I leave my new life in my new apartment. I know I'll get a lot of hate for this because I've neglected my husband and pushed him to seek solace in another woman's arms, when I apparently could have given what he sought all along. And believe me, I will bear the guilt for the rest of my life. In my defense, I didn't do it intentionally. Our lives had just been altered drastically, and I was trying to navigate this new and exciting existence. I was immersed in this new kind of happiness that I thought I was sharing with him, and I was trying to get to know my new body that I couldn't recognize anymore. A real scary feeling. But he could have come to me with his hurt. He could have talked to me about his suffering. He could have tried to make me understand, but he chose not to. He decided to deceive me. Deceive us. He ruined our love and our future and even our history. Nothing was or will be the same again. So Scrib says on this one, I just hope you took tons of screenshots of those texts. This isn't petty revenge, but nuclear revenge, and I for one ain't mad at you. Revenge is best served cold, and this is ice cold. All the best to you and your little one in your new life. Looking forward to the update. Rabbit from Brazil says, cheating on your postpartum wife is so dirty that I can't even describe it. It's rubbish, someone despicable and capable of much worse things than cheating. Significant Cat says, I'm commenting kind of early on, but I love how people so far are basically like, not gonna lie, I love this for you. Which, same here, lol. In all seriousness, it's hard to leave a partner with a new baby, and I know that prepping for and starting a divorce isn't exactly easy. I'm glad that you used that time wisely. He had no problem pretending everything was all good when he was cheating. Why would you not return the favor? He set the standard here. OP gave a little update post that said moving out April 1st, probably the cruelest April Fools I could play on my dear husband, which came 7 days later. He said he always loved April Fools. I feel a lot of guilt and guilt-related pain. I know what I'm doing is so cruel, but I guess I will just keep going with my plans. There's no turning back now. Whenever I feel like shit, like I'm the bad guy, I just remember their conversations. No, I'm not the villain here. I'll end the marriage and I will tell him that is because we aren't compatible anymore. Let him think whatever. I've decided I shouldn't tell him that I know about her. Let him run back to her once he realizes that I'm really gone. When my baby is older, we could tell him that we got an amicable divorce. No hurt or hard feelings. Two people who fell out of love. My boy doesn't need to know that his daddy broke up the family. It is okay. You can hate me. And we have another update in a second, but the two top comments on this one. First one says, the joke is our marriage. This is just a punchline. And says that's a free one. You can have it. An old IT guy says, why are you feeling guilty? He's the one that cheated and is reaping what he sowed. Opie says, because I am bitterly plotting behind the scenes and won't give him a chance to apologize or explain. Warsgal says, he didn't give you a heads up on his cheating, did he? Opie says, nope, he didn't. So Opie came in with her update and says, well, hello and sorry for being so absent. I know that I promised an update once I got out, but I've been so busy adjusting to my new life. I've received hundreds of have you moved out and is there an update DMs and comments. I hope everyone who asks sees this because I have no possibility to answer each and every one. Also, I don't know how many times I'm allowed to update here. Hopefully this is okay. I did exactly as I planned. I moved out after I left my husband divorce papers. I told him that I wasn't in love with him anymore and I think we're better off as co-parents than as a couple. That I have found a new place and he could buy me out of our current home or sell the property once the divorce is finalized. He was in total shock, but probably not the same shock I was in when I found out that he was cheating on me. He literally asked if I hit my head and even was telling people that he was worried that I had a brain tumor. He was very angry in the beginning and wanted answers. No answer was good enough. Is there someone else? No, dear husband, there isn't someone else, but there isn't you either. The audacity of that man. I reminded him that we still had our son and to think about him before acting vindictive. Sure enough, he kept it civil around our son. One thing he kept asking is why and how long ago I've stopped loving him. He didn't get any answers from me. Other than that, everything has been fine with me. I'm adjusting well. I still miss him, but at the same time I feel like I could finally breathe. I feel like I've been living on shallow breathing for the past months and now I could take full breaths. Our families are very sad and mostly shocked, but honestly, they've been very understanding. There's no bad reason for divorce. Wanting divorce is good enough reason for them. Want to separate, do not want to be with your partner. My ex-in-laws are still very active in my son's life and they've been very cordial, if yet a bit cold towards me. That represented itself when about 2 weeks ago, my mother-in-law in a bit of a passive-aggressive tone told me that my husband has started seeing someone. She apologized immediately and said that she just wanted me to know and be prepared that he had someone new. And yet I couldn't help but hear some vindication in her voice. I just answered, oh, did you mean Karen? I gave the mistress this name for obvious reasons. She looked shocked and asked me, did you know? Did he talk to you about it? I said, oh no, but she isn't new. I told her that she's been sleeping with her since I'd just given birth, maybe even before that. I kept my voice very quiet and monotone like we were discussing the weather. I was already regretting my slip, but the news that he started seeing Karen again, while very much anticipated, still made my heart hurt. My mother and father-in-law just looked at each other. I don't know if they believed me, but then how would I have known about Karen when I refused to see him in person since our breakup? So now, everyone knows anyway. And I've learned that you can't keep these things to yourself indefinitely. Since he found out, he has been calling and apologizing every day. Why didn't you tell me? How much did I hurt you? He said that he loved me and never stopped loving me, that he was sorry for everything and that he would do anything to have me back as his wife. My mother-in-law apologized too, even though she had no control of what our grown-up son did or does. It's not her fault. He writes that he loves me every night before bed. I hope this doesn't mean that he would make the divorce drag out, because then I have failed my plan. But he seems to be less forgiving of the divorce when he knew that he was the reason for it than when he thought it was mine. Weird. The divorce is still processing, and if anything major happens, I will be here again if I haven't outstayed my welcome already. Ciao. So, Noman Blanket says, I don't even think you should regret the slip. It's good that everyone knows what really happened. It's good he can't twist the story, and it's awesome that everyone now knows his new girlfriend is actually the woman who helped him ruin his marriage. He loves you so much, but didn't even grieve the marriage before dating her. Yeah, no. And you're way too nice on your ex-mother-in-law. She purposely tried to hurt you by even mentioning it. She can eat shit too. Unquantifiable Life says, I'm not a mother, but I feel like there's a special pain in your former daughter-in-law telling you the boy you raised is a cheater and ran to his mistress to legally get with her the second he could. He's not coming back from that anytime soon. It may have been said in error, but I think the outcome is perfect. Opie says yeah, she was devastated, but nothing compared to his father. They're not on speaking terms still. Loki says, I would send these love messages to Karen. Opie says, I think being her is the worst punishment there is. Loki replies saying, truly. Now that he knew about her, he will always resent her in the back of his mind, and you will always be the one that got away. Wishing you a smooth divorce and all the best. Opie with one final comment and says they're not together anymore. It ended a couple of days after he got busted. Hopefully he's single for a while. A sense of not introducing a new partner until he is in a serious relationship. And I don't want to play down OP's feelings in this at all, but I'm glad it came out as well, especially as that first comment said on that last update where, the potential for him to twist the truth here. He was probably telling his mother-in-law, she just broke up with me. I don't know what's going through her mind right now, etc. She's mad. And we see it time and time again in these stories that the truth always seems to come out in some form. And without other people, around you, friends, family, knowing the exact truth of what happened, they don't have the opportunity to give you the full support you need, because they might always be questioning, why have you just suddenly broke up? And he's the one who's hurting, etc. when you're the one who's been wronged in this. Maybe you don't need that support. Maybe you're independent and can deal with everything quite easily, but a little support is always helpful. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. You bloody cheeky so-and-so. Much love, guys.